or opposing position on that, and to say that what they are engaged in is a subset of our democracy, and we must not lose sight of that. Anytime, as Ronald Reagan, I believe, said, that democracy is always the forte and the imperative of succeeding generations who have a duty to make sure that it is well and healthy. And once you abandon that responsibility as a generation, as a people, and leave it to those who wouldn't mind, and as some people would say, benevolent dictators. But that has not worked from the human experience, whether it be from the First and Second World Wars, or in contemporary times as we look in places not too far from us, in Venezuela, etc., and you will understand what I'm referring to. This is the Corridor Transformation. Your host, Dr. Khalid Rahman, and of course Lennox Smith. And I am saying so against a specific topic today, even though there was an effort yesterday to try to reduce its intensity and the outcome, and of course the impact on our democracy. I'm talking here about, of course, the press conference held by the Prime Minister after a while, having not heard from him, and largely because a substantial part of the East-West corridor from Carenage in the west to Toko in the east are persons engaged at one level or another, from one department or another, employed or receives a check from the state, from the government of the day. And it must be troubling that the state, the government, would have made an announcement through the Prime Minister in the middle of last month, and therefore last year, December, that to the middle of January, all employees of the state or the government must be vaccinated. And if they are not, and I don't want it to be euphemistic here, I want to be as dysphemistic as possible, because I think personally it is not healthy as far as democracy and the promotion thereof is concerned. What it tells me, it is a propensity for autocracy. Do as I say, don't do, and don't do as I do. I say so from the perspective that in all of this, and in all of the blame sufficient to go around, even the very people who are telling us to forego salaries, to prevent and avoid the putting of food on our tables and meeting our expenditure that we may have in the normal course of things, engage, whether it's the banks, whether it's the credit unions, whether it's paying for your car, whether it's paying for your mortgage, whether it is, of course, paying your electricity and other utilities, water inclusive, or paying for your children to maintain a decent standard as far as purchasing laptops and other devices so that they can remain in the loop, so to speak, and their education is not stymied or in any way debilitating them, because in the aftermath of this virus, survival and the society must continue. What happens over the centuries of humankind on earth, societies don't die, they merely, of course, if you want to use a term that is very common today, they mutate, they change. So that there's much talk about living with the virus today. And there's much talk about new normals that the virus has brought onto humankind. And I agree, all over the world. But in this small plot of the earth called Trinidad and Tobago, we must always be eternally vigilant that and avoid those who are prepared, of course, to use this circumstance to have their way when there are alternatives, or there would have been alternatives, and there was a blanket and unadulterated refusal. And then, of course, pretend that those missteps or those alternatives that were very early in the making, and if the dialogue was permitted as a democracy ought to promote. You see, Dr. Khaled, before you make your introduction, having listened to the press conference last evening, I was extremely concerned that the Prime Minister, in attempting, of course, to demonstrate what is typical in a democracy, asks people for comments and written or oral or by way of mechanisms such as these, the media and so on, that was not the case at the commencement and just after Carnival of 2020. The government and the same Prime Minister and, of course, the Minister of Health was telling us that they are large and they are in charge. And they don't want to listen to the other arm of the executive. I say executive because it's the government in waiting as far as the executive is concerned. I'm talking about the opposition. And an opposition that has then 18 seats and then ended up with 19 seats in a 41-member parliament. And they were being told that I'm going to listen to you, but I'm going to listen to you because I am so minded, as opposed to a commitment and a dedication and listen to another side. Because in those times, I remember very distinctly, Dr. Khaled, that Kamala Prasad Bisesa not only initiated the request for a meeting just after Carnival of 2020, when, of course, the whole question of even having Carnival was a national debate, or ought to have been, in my view. But then, of course, the opposition went on to seek in the parliament from the presiding officers and the government itself, Dr. Rowley's cabinet or members of parliament, cannot seriously and honestly say that it was up to the Speaker of the House or the President of the Senate. I mean, this program on a Sunday is not for that, but we have to be brutally frank, objective as best as we can, in order, of course, to let the population understand, particularly those on the East-West corridor, which this program is focused on, to have the truth. And the truth is that efforts were made by the opposition, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the parliament to have this matter of this virus that was impending at the time in 2020 visited, ventilated, argued about, and then come up with collective bipartisan, if you want, that solution. But no, the government was very steadfast that they would do it alone. In fact, I remember very distinctly, and I'll give you some time now, because I can go on from now until the end of the program. But because of the seriousness of this matter, because then I remember distinctly that the minister himself, who is still the minister today in a functioning democracy, such a minister would have been a has-been, would have been history. You understand where I'm coming from, and therefore today to tell the population, listen, bring in your submissions and so on. No, there should be another insistence by the government, and that is to say, maybe have some kind of commission of inquiry, or do the honorable thing and say, listen, we did not listen in the beginning, we did not do what was required in terms of the dialogue, this dialogue that we're doing too late, and therefore possibly I am going to dissolve the parliament and ask the president, of course, give the president a date to call an election. That is what I would have expected in a truly functioning democracy. So it means, therefore, we have a dysfunctional democracy. Because I remember the opposition leader saying, and as an alternative to beseeching the presiding officers and therefore the government of the day, once they agree with their built-in majority, would the presiding officer couldn't resist, the debate would have taken place. But clearly they were silently in agreement with the rejection of these presiding officers, whether in the lower house or the upper house. But the fact of the matter is that in addition to that, the opposition did not give up. The opposition leader in the form of Kamala Prasad-Bissessar started to talk about test. Why is the minister, the one who is today telling us to send in proposals, was saying that God is a Trinity and the likelihood that community spread will not take place? And that, of course, more than that, don't wear mask. And today, of course, you have a penalty of $1,000. And after a SOE, after a lockdown, after a constraining of our airspace, after, of course, $22 billion allocated for relief, after all of that, and a draconian, and I have to be real, other countries of the world have done it. But the fact of the matter is that they would have done so, whether it's Canada, whether it's United States, whether it's the UK. We have inherited, of course, their democratic process, that is to say, the Westminster system of government. But, of course, underlying all of that is our democracy. And therefore, they would have had to do it with the consent. And if it is that they fail, as we have seen, of course, the UK Prime Minister now may have to make his exit soon. That in Canada as well, and so on. But what we have is a situation of an imposition of these failed policies and programs conjured up and supported by persons who would have gotten the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago by way of an electoral process and therefore the democratic process, and they stay in our faces and today asking, of course, for assistance from wherever, because everything, including an SOE, intended to reduce and to curb both deaths and infections, all of that have failed. I thought it was important, of course, to raise that issue along the East-West corridor, because I am saying that I feel it for the public servants along the East-West corridor, who are largely, and I'm sure if one could check, I tried to do some assessment, some research, but I'm sure compared to any other area in the country, whether central or south or deep south, that there are more people in the public service across the board, whether it's police, whether it's army, whether, of course, it's clerks, whether it's PSs, whether it's drivers, whether it's desk clerks, etc. There are more on the East-West corridor than anywhere else. So therefore, that is a deep concern that we must have. Whether you're a teacher, whether you are a doctor, whether you are a pilot, under, of course, getting a check from the government. Good morning, Dr. Khalid.
Morning. Good morning, my brother Lennox. Yes, you are on point, and I agree with what you were saying. I listen attentively. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, Mr. Amaru. Good morning, my brother Andy Cuff. You assisted us wonderfully, and we appreciate it. And thanks again. Yes, Trinidad and Tobago. This is our Sunday program, the transformation. Yes, Lennox, the thing is that the government way of handling it, the pandemic that we are facing in the world, there's much to be desired. It's a fact. And they did not treat the opposition with respect. That is a fact. Who want to deny it could deny it or live in denial. But it's a fact.
Come closer to the mic because
Yes.
I'm seeing a level here that I'm not satisfied with. Go ahead.
Right. Good.
Go ahead. Mhm.
Yes. And so that is a fact. If they had listened, worked with the opposition, things could have been much different.
So don't you think then that what has transpired, 3,100 and I think 60, I think it's 80 deaths
About
to
that,
date.
yes.
So it means that by tomorrow we'll hear, of course,
More.
up to 3,200.
Yes.
But don't you think in a democracy that such a group of individuals should literally call it a day, having failed? I mean, why would you at this stage ask for any and every assistance when you could have simply done that at the beginning so that you spread the responsibility for either failure or success across the board?
Yeah.
But instead, having failed multiple times, you are now asking, and what I thought was much more what I consider to be despicable, frankly, because I want to use as much euphemism as possible. I don't want to use nice terms today because I am a bit angry because the East-West corridor will be by and large affected by this policy position, even though it has been postponed to the middle of next month. That is not anything that I should be grateful or gratified or feel comforted about. And again, it strikes at the whole question of our democracy and autocratic behavior, when in fact it is being postponed to hear the views of others and to take it on board now that you have failed on so many accounts, and of course with financial resources, including a parallel health system that in itself is a tremendous cost and would have consumed much of that $22 billion.
Yes.
I mean, in a democracy, Dr. Khalid, so this is a question for you because we have to open up the lines and we have, of course, to interview Andy Williams and, of course, Mr. Amar and Michael Kerr. I think that those persons are patriots in their own right. I think that they are very frugal. I think they are sensible. I think that they are persons who recognize what at least I have recognized, that our democracy has been subverted and undermined. And today you have the audacity and the temerity to ask for collective responsibility or try to share collective responsibility for something that you did.
Yeah.
You did. Why it is you are asking people now to share in that debacle, in that failure, in that faux pas that has been like a recurring decimal. Every single thing that was tried did not achieve the objective of reducing deaths or reducing the infection rate in this country.
Yeah.
It has not. So therefore, the decent, logical, common sense, rational, and I would say honorable thing to do is to give up the gauntlet, call an election, or initiate a serious commission of inquiry. But I would prefer the former, so that someone else, because so far it appears that what the opposition would have said back in 2020 after Carnival, test, which was a major component of her recommendation to the government at the time that never listened, we would have been in a better place today. We would have been in a better place today. Look at the whole question of banks and financial institutions calling on people at this time who are losing work, who are losing an income, their incomes. Businesses have closed down. And you're still asking them to meet their financial commitment that was originally initiated in circumstances that were much more salubrious, was much more convenient, because people had their jobs and they could have predicted what and how far they would have reached with, of course, the negotiated incremental payments that usually accompanies a mortgage or loans from these institutions. You know, the opposition leader said use legislation to bring these people to book. Because she anticipated, and that was in 2020.
Well, she, based on her experience and her vision.
Come a little closer to the
based on her experience and vision.
Yes.
Which is underestimated a lot by those who want to make her look bad. Based on that, she was able to see what would happen. And this is why she gave advice based on that.
But but it is ridiculous. It is hilarious. And if it wasn't so serious, it would be laughable. It would be ludicrous that yesterday, the Prime Minister is asking for alternative. And what I thought was very, very disingenuous, if not dishonest.
Right.
And probably a combination of both, disingenuous and dishonest.
Right.
That you have not said that you took your mouth and asked people to go to Tobago for Easter because you had 2 new boats and you want to show off those 2 boats. That's the conclusion one has to draw if they are true to themselves. And then another event came over 3 days when there was no vaccine. That by itself, in terms of the acquisition and in terms of when and timely intervention and so on, and monies and so on, and of course all of the secrecy surrounding the costs of a vaccine, particularly the Sinopharm and so on, and we can go on and on. When he had to come and apologize to the senior citizens and families, yesterday I was appalled. Frankly, I was appalled that Dr. Rowley take his mouth and saying that he is concerned about the deaths and the amount of deaths that took place. But it was him, he who came and apologized to the population that descended on the various centers for vaccine that he said never existed. And he apologized for that. And you telling me that you could not, in your new approach I should say now, to invite everybody who can make a contribution now. You couldn't say, well, listen, it was my fault that many of those deaths occurred, especially in the areas where he agreed and confessed that it was the government, not the technical people, the government, and he and his minister made the decision to have them come out in their numbers. And after that, spike after spike after spike after spike, even up to today, in spite of the introduction of an SOE. You telling me that the Prime Minister is so, should I say, disconnected to the reality? That he is so irrefutably indurate, hard-hearted, stone-hearted, to at least apologize to the people rather than. He made a mockery yesterday of the trade union. I have no respect for the trade union movement, except, of course, the exception would be Watson Duke. And, of course, what he has done with PSA and what he has done and what he will continue to do, certainly the new position that he has now. But certainly, are you saying that you're so injured is that you have not been able and so distant from the reality that is you and your administration that has caused what is happening today? And when people say, listen, because there was another thing that occurred yesterday, he was stridently wove into his presentation the acknowledgement that the vaccine kills. He was strident yesterday and that, and I couldn't understand it because before that he ignored that part of the conversation. He couched it, of course, in language that suggested that there were adverse consequences. And then he gave a pie chart to suggest a small segment of the population that may have been vaccinated would, of course, would have adverse effects, including, of course, possible deaths. He acknowledged that. But all the time before that, he was not acknowledging that. He was saying that the vaccine is the best thing since sliced bread, and continued, of course, to make it. These vaccines appear to be like polio vaccines and like measles vaccines, etc. And still talk about you had a choice, but at the same time you had no choice. So it's an oxymoron in that before you could go to school, even though you may have a choice to say no to and don't vaccinate your children, but if it is you have to go to school, you have to, of course, take the vaccine. But forgetting that there are people who would not want to take even that vaccine that has proven over the years not to be dangerous to people's health. Not to be dangerous to people's health. And at the same time, people can take their children in such circumstance and have them go to private schools that would not insist on these vaccines.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Hey, oh, you hear anybody?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, but
morning,
people are calling, people are saying, well, Lennox Smith is on air, and we go in telling people want to know if the protest cancelled. No, not protest, but they are praying. It is not whatever Rowley did.
Go ahead.
Right now we are here at the Queen's Park Savannah, push back to the awakening. If you're listening in your cars, if you're at your home, it's all about push back to the awakening prayer, coming together on this Sunday morning where we come together at 10. People already start to assemble. Some people are missing the entrance. The entrance is obliquely opposite Napa. To all of you out there, the entrance is obliquely opposite Napa.
Andy, let me ask you the questions. This is the corridor transmission. Let me ask you the questions. All right, so I'm glad because you were the first stop anyway. Listen, I passed there this morning, and both entrances, the normal entrances, are available. Is that so? Yes or no?
Earlier on, there was not. It was only enter only. It was only enter only. So it's a different ball game.
But the fact is, yes. Or you want me to call you? You want me to call you on your phone instead?
No, I got here because it's all about giving people the directions. It's all about encouraging people.
Yes,
you know, me, Andy Williams, honestly don't want to talk about Rowley and what he did yesterday. That's just all it is. And all I want to do while on the phone, even if you call me, is to give people the opportunity to let them know everything is still on and that exactly where we are located, where people can park, how they can come in, and it's all pushed back to their way, right? Because people are calling me at this point in time and saying, well, yes, they're here in Lennox, but they ain't here to push back to the entrance, how them win. If people come in, they just want the motivation, people walking in.
Well, I passed this morning, people coming in. I saw going in. I saw people coming. I saw, in fact, when you reach there, cars would have already been parked because I passed there about what time, Dr. Khalid? About just after 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, people. All right. Let's get it clear. Pushback was always on, never deterred, but I had to talk about Dr. Rowley's presentation because I suspect it was intended to send a subliminal message that they will not tolerate, and that is not democracy. So therefore, people, yes, get down to the Queen's Park Savannah. Andy is on the line. I would want to ask him certain questions because, as I said earlier, Andy, Mikey, and Mr. Amaro are true patriots. They are persons who have seen the intent and understand what democracy is all about. And therefore, when you get to the Savannah today and you sit down and of course you social distance and you also wear your mask and you of course sanitize, it's a big space. You go and do what you have to do because international attention will be paid. Andy, are there other issues that you would want to raise at this time?
Oh, well, right now, as I say, people start to gather from early. From all half past or so, people was coming
Yes,
in.
I saw. Yes.
Well, some people, how it spread. Some people was wondering if it's still on. Some people start to call over and all over. Then I had to let them know, well, I am around already. So we had to certify
Beautiful.
the entrance and the exit at the Savannah. So for those of you that are coming down, it is very simple. Do not come straight down to BP. That entrance where they were toting us out in their buses are closed. That entrance where they taught the people that they locked up out in their buses, that entrance is closed. That is looked by BP. No, higher up, right after Napa, on the right hand side, the entrance to the grandstand. Right. So as you meet Napa, look out to the entrance on the right hand side. Right. Do not come straight down. Right. For those of you who are circling the Savannah for the first time, wondering where is the entrance to come to the Queen's Park Savannah, where you're going to park. It have a lot of park, a lot of park. So it's simple. As you pass Napa on that stretch, right hand side, it have entrance in, exit out. Do not try to come by ground zero. They had opened that entrance was only to tote we out from in there. That entrance had nothing to do with in or out. Yes, it is locked down. Yes, they chain it. Right? But that is not the entrance. The entrance again for all of you. Right. Park properly. Come into the entrance for those of you that are your vehicles. Right, which are seeing vehicles coming in. Right.
Yeah.
So right after Napa, right, get you all parked. Don't forget social distancing. 6 feet apart. 6 feet apart. While I am talking here, people now start to flow in. Cars start to flow in. They did not know. So I know you're going to do a good job talking to the people, letting them know the entrance is after Napa. Push back to the awakening is on. Yes, it already have approximately 100 people here. Yes, right? But what kind of people is where the entrance to come in is far from where the people is gathering. Where the people is gathering is by the big entrance where the bands just come exit. That is after BP. That is close to Republic Bank. No, you're not reaching quite down there. Where you're entering is after Napa. Time you're driving with Napa, see Napa, just look on your right hand side. It's a small entrance to come in. Who know the Savannah? So slow down by Napa and look good on your right hand side, and you're going to see the entrance to come to the Savannah. While talking, it's around 25 cars already coming for many people looking for the entrance. Many people
But
looking for
and
comfort.
we had, of course, some ushers like Anderson
They
from
are
the.
not there yet, but
Okay.
yeah.
I understand. But of course, that is where that location that you are there now is where they were. I had supervised that on the last occasion. That is a normal entrance. People would, after the crowd build up, they will come from that major ban exit area, but usually it is where you are talking about. So if you're coming around the savannah, you keep on your right. The first entrance into the savannah, the clear entrance, you come in there. It is a bit narrow. Yes, he is correct. And then, of course, the other one is the exit. So you may have to, of course, make the rounds and come back if you miss it. If you miss it, so keep looking for it as you come up Frederick Street. You keep on your right, and you will see the first entrance into the savannah. It is behind, of course, the grandstand. So use the grandstand as your point of direction. So you want to enter that particular entrance. Any other issue that you want to raise at this time, Andy?
I am feeling so good out here. From the time we started to give the people the direction to the entrance to come into the savannah, as I say, people start to roll in. Yes, people, the spot that we was on in back then, no, that is not the entrance, that is not the exit. The entrance is right after Napa on the right hand side. So call your friends, call your people, so they know you get to come in, park, and we know we will walk towards where the we had gathered ground zero before.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Right?
I'll try to get to Mr. Amar now. And of course, I want to hear what he has to say. I'll get back to you within the next 15 minutes or so. Andy, I see that you have a mechanism to get into the program without being invited.
Right, but when Mr. Amaro and Mikey came,
Yeah. Marvin. Hello? Tell me. All right, okay. I'll call you. I'll call you.
oh,
All right. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Cuff. Cuff. You're bottom of your breaking up.
It's all about the Queen's Park Savannah on product transformation. Lennox Smith this morning had a very nice, brilliant, what you call editorial based on what Dr. Rowley said in his press conference. But by all means, and we understand to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, it's all about guiding you. It's all about encouraging you. It's all about telling us where we are. It's all about push back to the awakening while people are rolling in with their vehicles slowly but surely. 10 o'clock is the start time, but yet still, minutes to 9, you're seeing people starting to roll in more and more. How are you reaching the entrance for those of you in your cars, in your maxis, in your taxis? How are you getting into the entrance right here on this big program, the corridor transformation? How it is possible? Right. Plenty of you are making a circle around the savannah, wondering how you can reach into the savannah, Queen's Park Savannah. Very simple. Napa. Just look for Napa as the landmark. As you reach the beginning of Napa, slow down. And on the right hand side, less than, you might just count 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The entrance is on the right hand side of Napa. So make sure, don't miss it. Well, right. More and more people pouring in because they understand, they now know where's the entrance, they now know where we are. You can park your car a distance away, and you can organize and walk towards the ground zero, which is the main exit for the carnival bands. Yes, you can park your car. You have real parking when you come in at all different points. But down by the main exit, which is ground zero, that is block off. That is chain off. So you may not want your car to be too close or among the whole situation there when it's coming to when more and more people start to come in. You may not want that. But what you may want is the your car a little distance away and you come start 6 feet apart, because 6 feet apart is very, 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 very important. Very important. Right? So only keep all the distances 6 feet apart. Park your car, find your little park with your family members, your loved ones. You can stay by your car by the meanwhile because it have real park, right? It have people across the road, waiting across the road. It have people and these people in hearing us on the radio, but the people that start to hear us on the radio and start to understand how they're reaching in, where the entrance are. Well, boy, people starting to flow in more and more with their vehicles. And that is great. At the end of the day, Almighty God help those who help yourself. On this big Sunday morning, please God, the 16th, a memorable day for each and every one of us. It's either we push back or we push down. But the main thing is we want the social distancing, right? We want the social distancing. Social distancing is very important. People are passing, people are wondering where I am. I'm not in the open, I'm not yet, right? But when vehicles passing, I actually can hear myself in vehicles that are coming in. Yes, hearing myself in the vehicles that are coming in. It have people that are traveling because you're seeing whereby people come in and they just standing up and watching and wondering, hey, because it don't have that big massive yet. No, everything starts small and then will build accordingly. So now it is having enough vehicles, now it have enough cars, now people understanding where, for who traveling, where they're going to be. For now, the people understanding where they're coming to, if they're coming with vehicles, to make sure they have the car parked safe, they understand where the park is. If you're in your car, in your maxis, all of you, right. Yes, it's opposite BP is where the people gathering. Opposite BP, right? Approximately opposite BP, people are starting to gather. Right? That's where the exit is, the big exit. That is close up, you can't come in there. Right? But it have an exit and an entrance and an exit. High up, right after Napa, around Napa. From the time you meet Napa, just look on the right-hand side, Trinidad and Tobago. And you're going to see, right on the right-hand side, you'll see some small entrance to come in, right? For those of you who want to picnic, right? Spread yourselves, your cars. Make sure we keep the social distancing. Because yes, the police will be around. They did call sometime yesterday, day before yesterday, asking that you all cancel your whole thing. I said, I am not an organizer. He said, which is Mr. Superintendent, I think he's Superintendent Kisulal. He called. I said, well, I am not the organizer. He said he heard me on the radio inviting people. I said, well, I'm one of the inviters. I'm just inviting. He put down strict. He said, if this thing could cancel, I said, well, I can't cancel something, right, that I am not one of the main organizers or organizers. He said many of his officers are ready. They are prepared. Come out. I said, did we get permission? I said, Mr. Kisulal, so what I heard from the organizing committee is that the Queen's Park Savannah, it's a public place. Yes, he said it's a public place whereby people who want to come and jog can jog. Look at that, people playing small goal. Right. People can organize, have picnic. People can go to the botanical gardens. People could move accordingly. I told Mr. Kisulal, that superintendent, to some big person. He said he's in charge of the whole drama. He said his officers is ready and waiting, so long as you all don't social distance and keep in groups of 10s. Right. He said if it is, it could cancel. I say, well, I can't do that. I is not the organizing committee. I'm just one person. Right. Besides that, I did give him a picture off. I tell him that. He said, look how things went the last time. I said the things went so the last time because You all did not give Lennox Smith or Mikey K or many other people to be able, whether it be David Abdul, Omar Abdul, and all these various leaders in their own way, the opportunity to address the crowd, the opportunity to let everybody know social distancing and all those different things. You all didn't give people the opportunity to do such things. They said we didn't have no permission with mic. If we have a mic, I said yes. We put a bullhorn in place, and it is a legal bullhorn whereby have permission which is a mic that have permission from the transport commissioner to be able to use. To breaking it down for you, the public, to the lengths and breadths that they are going to deter you all from coming together from a day of prayer and all those various initiatives. So they mentioned Lennox Smith people are coming more and more and more and more. Dr. Khaled, and for all who are listening, they are coming more and more and more.
Are you there? Andy? Andy?
So he mentioned that we cannot address.
Stand up one place. We're losing you from time to time.
No. With prayer, we can. But it must be in groups of tens and social distance.
Yes. Lost you again. Stand up one place. I know that you're moving around. Stand up one place. Go ahead.
Right. With prayer, and people who understand the constitution and the laws will be able to talk on that mic, right? Because as he said, the mic is promoting this, that is the post snap. For this, so I pray 6 feet apart. Said, but hey, praise. If we can't do nothing, we can pray and all those different things. Why you're saying that? I said, well, pastors and them just address people. I said, yes, but they only can address people in prayer. So we only will be able to address people in prayer. Almighty God, and as we talk to Almighty God here this morning, God is telling us, you need to go 6 feet apart. 6 feet apart to the all. God is saying to the all, separate yourself in groups, right? No more than 10, and we have to pray using that mic to do anything we want. Outside of that, which you don't see, it's just a set of stupidness that big people on. When it's simple. But if that is how we have to address the situation and use the mic via prayer, well then, so be it. If we have to say God Almighty is praying here, and we pray and we say, look, Almighty God now say to go to spread, you all have to go in groups of 10 only. I said, that is how far it reached. He said, he and the man would not hesitate to do what they have to do. So long as anybody breaking the health protocol. But he also said that he cannot be stop anybody, because I put him in place for that one time. I said, the savannah is a public place. You cannot tell people they cannot come to the savannah. And he said, correct. But his job is, if the health protocol is being broken, that he and his men are ready to do what they did the last time. That's what his exact words. That was his exact words.
That's intimidating.
Talk to the people by the time. Let them know we are. Since we are talking here, I'm telling you over 50 cars already come in.
All
I'm
right.
telling you people don't start
Tell
at
you what.
gather. People are walking in groups. It's and what's my 9 o'clock. Start time is 10 o'clock. But
Leave
yet
your
still.
leave your system open. Leave your system open, and of course, you can come in whenever you have some information for us. We leave the system open. All
All
right.
right, then, Smith,
So
you go ahead.
we will start.
And you're going to the number one program on a morning, Photo Transformation,
Sunday
between
morning.
Sunday morning, between Lennox Smith, Dr. Khaled, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So look on, tell your people them, yes, Lennox Smith is on, and you all listen, let them change their radio stations if they're thinking that it don't have a talk show program on a Sunday. Yes, it have a talk show program on a Sunday. So you people can organize, switch your dial off the all the rest. Lock on to Lennox Smith them, where they're gonna give you guidance to come in, out, and let you know where we are where the people are physically coming together to keep their 6 feet apart and in groups of 10s, which is opposite BP, close to Republic Bank. That's the end close to the American Embassy, but not on that side. It's on the Napa side, right? And the entrance, to all of you that were looking for the entrance, that driving, and yes, you all are coming in, and boy, people are coming with their chairs. I'm seeing people with their chairs. Boy, this thing is great. People are not already started coming in. The entrance is at Napa. From the time you reach Napa, stay on your
On the
on
right.
your car, like on the pavement right. Stay to the pavement right, not the left right. The pavement right on that road there. Remember, it's a one way. Stay on the pavement right. The pavement right. And as you meet Napa and you start to drive slow, you will see the entrance. You can't miss it. I wish somebody would walk with a cone or something to be able to put out there to give you only a landmark. But we will try to see if we can get someone out there. Anderson Wilson was the one normally used to be out there. Right? Well, I ain't see him yet.
Well, I expect you'll be there in a while.
Right. So the entrance is not ground zero. The entrance is from Napa. As you stay close right. Stay on the right hand side of the road. It's 3 lanes.
One
Stay
of
on
us
the right hand side of the road and swing in right after Napa, the entrances. So as you start to pass Napa, you're going to see the entrance right after Napa. So when you meet Napa, slow down and stay right. Stay on the right hand side of the three-way one-way. And swing in and come in. Right? And bring your families, all your friends, let them organize, start the thing, and only let me start at the social distance. Let Smith, while we are talking here,
of
let's
course,
already have approximately when we now start, because people was lost, and then we had the police coming in now. Then we have one police officer, and I know they're listening in their vehicle. Right?
What would have
We
expected?
have 3 police officers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we approximately maybe have 1 police vehicle come in already.
Right.
Into the Savannah. 1 police vehicle already approached the Savannah. The police number, the license number of that police vehicle that have 3 police officers, 2 in front, 1 in the back with a big gun. No, not bandits. It's not criminals. In case only make mistake with only big machine guns. No. If only believe it have a riot, for God's sake, bring out the riot people with their tattoos and whatever. If nobody here ain't gonna do nobody nothing. So those supposed to be out here with no guns, no machine guns.
We have in the next hour or so, we have the international audience. Of course, I have to be across there because we have several persons internationally will want to lock on, and I have some communications information that I will have to use. So I will be there as soon as 10 o'clock when I am out of here. But certainly, could you call Anderson to find out where he is? Because clearly you need some help there. And I know that there are other persons who would volunteer right themselves. to make sure that the social distancing is maintained.
Yes.
All the other.
Well, I have to get in contact now with the mic man, but as I told you all, police already reached.
What's your number? You say you're giving me a number for the police vehicle.
All right. But I wasn't all the time and me come out yet. But all right, let me go and give you that number one time. One time. All right, so while I move normal, just turn around because remember the exit is locked off. Remember the exit?
Yeah,
the main exit. The main exit is locked off, right? But the entrance and exit, which is to go to the grandstand, that one is open. So right after Napa, right? The number of the police vehicle with 3 police with big gun, like again, it is in case even if you're only watching that is a riot. PDX 363. PDX 363. That is the police number 3 police officers. PDX 363. Again, you don't need to have those guns. People here is not criminals. The murderers and them that killing we out. Those people and them are running free. Here is not a place for automatic rifles and them kind of stupidness.
All right, Andy, we hear you. Of course, PDX 363. All right. Thank you very much. We will be going.
Yes, to make the mistake. In case they make the mistake, Lennox, and to you, the public, traveling public that coming in your vehicles in your thousands. In case there is to make a mistake, let me understand it, For God's sake. Is this new commissioner of police bright? Let me be real. It have no way that you can send police officers with automatic rifles. Ask them if the automatic rifles have rubber bullets or re-bullets. Ask them.
We have to do what we have to do. This is about pushback. As soon as I reach there, of course, I have a link to Amnesty International, and all of that will be telegraphed. I just wanted to.
Exactly. Smith, and you are so right. So make sure you get onto your international link, because again, in a people peaceful prayer and gathering with the health protocols, which is the 6 feet apart and groups of 10s, no police supposed to be coming here with no automatic rifle. You make a mistake and you kill people. Where you go say? Where you go say?
You have to account.
You don't have no criminals here.
This is a democracy, as last time I know it to be, and therefore it is in defense of our democracy. The last time they told us that we were anti-vax and all that hogwash, which clearly was not the objective of that exercise then, as in fact it is today as well. And that is to say, people are dissatisfied, and therefore they are out there practicing democracy, and at the same time within the confines of the COVID regulations, and that cannot be used to
steal or let me go to the mic man before you leave Mattel, because I ain't seen Richie yet, right? So let me call the mic man there one time. You go ahead and Smith.
Okay, good. Well, people, of course, you had an update. Don't forget, of course, the place to be, everybody, I expect half of Trinidad and Tobago to be at the Savannah today. Because it is so crucial. The fact that announcement was made that they would relax, or tomorrow will not be the commencement of you losing your salaries or your wage, because it's going to happen next week. Next month, in the middle of next month, is no sign that there is relenting of that autocratic type of behavior. And the fact of the matter is that people must take personal responsibility. Once you act within the regulations, nobody is defying, nobody is saying that we want to lose lives unnecessarily or recklessly. What we are saying that it, just as the authorities have said, that we have to learn to live with the virus. That was this a major sub-theme yesterday. Live with the virus, and we are learning to live with the virus, inclusive, of course, protecting our democracy is all part and parcel of all of that. Dr. Khalid, you're singing there, you're looking you're looking like you're in awe, and of course you are just probably looking to make your presence felt across there when we would have completed our exercise here at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
Yes, I'm listening, and Andy did a very good job in explaining.
Come a little closer to your mic.
Yeah, Andy did a very good job in explaining the situation, and the people reacting. The people reacting. It is their democratic right, and the people reacting.
Yes, indeed. And do you think then that it would be irresponsible at this stage, having regard to all what we said prior to? Because of course I was only waiting for appropriate time to get Andy in, but he intruded, and of course that is permissible. I understand that. I think enthusiasm, for maintaining and making sure that you protect the democracy of the country. Yes. I think you need bold and very visionary and persons who are prepared, of course, to go the extra mile in order to protect our democracy. We have seen that there are those who are prepared to stymie and, of course, pretend and arrogate unto themselves some kind of autocratic disposition in this particular environment, and use COVID as the ultimate for what I consider to be, and some people are saying, of course, a rank and unadulterated and unfolding autocratic or dictatorship that has engulfed and enveloped Trinidad and Tobago. Yes. And we must respond, we must resist. Go ahead, you have some comments, because I want to tell people that we may have to suspend, of course, phone calls for today, because we want to dedicate. Don't forget, of course, the persons who are going in your masses to the Queen's Park Savannah today. Pushback number 2 is the Awkenimng. That, of course, you remember that that stretch around the Savannah, whether you're coming from the Lady Young Road or you're coming from Frederick Street, you must turn west. You must go west. And of course, you keep on your right-hand side, the Savannah side, so to speak, and you will see the first entrance that you see there that your vehicle can access. Then you go in there and you go and park wherever you see it convenient. But the sea of humanity must, of course, defend our democracy. I will be there just after 10 o'clock. And, of course, I have a link with Amnesty International in England, yes, and a number of other international media networks will be connected to that. Fortunately, Dr. Khalid, I did get in contact with the Me Too movement, and they have been extremely helpful and have been assisting in terms of the logistics and getting us that feed in order to highlight what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago today. So get down to the Queen's Park Savannah. It is crucial that you get down there, and you, of course, by your very presence, you would have demonstrated patriotism. You would have demonstrated your commitment to democracy. You would make certain that transparency and accountability is not betrayed in any form, having regard to the evolution of this process. Only yesterday being detailed without an apology or any kind of indication that they have the authority that is have, of course, breached some fundamental issues and arrogate unto themselves a position that clearly is not consistent with democracy. So get down to this Queen's Park Savannah. Of course, the police they have agreed that you cannot be prohibited from entering the Queen's Park Savannah. And I want to say that this matter also includes the whole question of unilaterally taking away the salaries of public servants, of which the police, the army, and other quasi and law enforcement agencies of the country, whether it's fire service, whether it's prison, etc., you too would be affected if, of course, we do not have diligent and responsible and caring individuals for the advancement of Trinidad and Tobago in the protection and defense of our democracy, and saying that such kinds of arbitration cannot and must not work in Trinidad and Tobago, and pushback is the only tool that we have, in addition to others, of course, that we would, of course, unfold as the organizers continue to find ways and means of resisting the threat to our democracy. Dr. Khalid.
Yes, Lennox, you're right. I'm listening, and you're right. You're right on course. We have others to call. I think.
Yes, Andy is on the field. There is a little challenge, a technical challenge here to get out. So I would appreciate if Mr. Amar or Michael Kerr could call us. There's a little challenge here in getting information out, and I suspect they can do just as Andy. Make their intrusion wherever. Of course, Andy, we await your update as to what is happening there, because as you know, we are out of here by 10 o'clock, but certainly maybe one or two calls we would want to take. The number to call, of course, this is not the ground report, it is of course the corridor transformation, and we are in studio, so you can call 379-2480. 379 no 628-9595 628-9595 and 628-3131 628-9595 and 628-3131. Let's hear from you as well. We'll open up the lines internally, but at the same time, what we want to dedicate today's program to is, of course, the pushback out at the Queen's Park Savannah, where all of humanity, I expect not just a sea. In the last time we got a sea, I want an ocean of Trinidad and Tobago. You haven't prepared since yesterday, and from whatever part of the country that you may be coming from. Don't forget, the entrance to the Queen's Park Savannah is as you pass Napa, but you have to keep on the right. The first entrance, you turn right and you get in there, and there's parking all over. You cannot miss it, and make your presence felt. By your very presence, as I said, we will be communicating with Amnesty International a little later, and they would have put certain networks in the United States and beyond together. Understand that BBC might be one of those entities internationally that we will be communicating with as well. You have something to say? Yes, indeed, of course. And as I said, we have Mr. Amar as well, and Michael Kerr. We want to talk to a little later if things do and settle out in studio. But Andy, we are ready for you. We want to know what is happening. We are very anxious. And of course, if you wish to call, the number to call is, the numbers to call are 628-3131, 628-3131, and 628-9595. We expect, of course, to meet and greet, to have prayer, to, of course, sing hymns, and to, of course, in general, look at salvation in the context of protecting and promoting our democracy. It must be a question of transparency. There must be accountability, and no one or small group of individuals can dominate and without accounting and abuse the checks and balances that are built in, whether by way of our constitution or otherwise, and sub-laws, and they believe that you can do that and generally disobey the rules and the norms that are important in order to promote our democracy. So the lines are open. If you can, of course, you can call 628-3131. I know that most people will be on the way to the Savannah, but you will have a mobile phone, so maybe you could use that. But 628-3131, just in case, 628-3131, 628-9595. 628-3131, 628-9595, as we, of course, continue this morning's corridor transformation effort in support of the pushback at the Queen's Park Savannah. We await, of course, Andy's update. We await Dr. Khaled. Let's go for a short break. And when we come back, we will, of course, either take your calls or have a connection to Mikey, Andy, or Mr. Amaro. This is Lennox Smith, your host for the Corridor Transformation every Sunday morning, 8 to 10. Don't forget, on this particular, we share with you educational opportunities, all of the current events that are taking place along the US corridor in particular, but in the country in general. Join me and Dr. Khalid Rahman every Sunday morning on 104.7.
What up? 104.7. More FM 104.7.
This is Lennox Smith, your host for the Corridor Transformation every Sunday morning, 8 to 10. Don't forget, on this particular, we share with you educational opportunities, all of the current events that are taking place along the US corridor in particular, but in the country in general. Join me and Dr. Khalid Rahman every Sunday morning on 104.7.
What up? 104.7. More FM 104.7. What up? 104.7.
This is Lennox Smith, your host for the Corridor Transformation every Sunday morning, 8 to 10. Don't forget, on this particular, we share with you educational opportunities, all of the current events that are taking place along the US corridor in particular, but in the country in general. Join me and Dr. Khalid Rahman every Sunday morning on 104.7.
What up? 104.7. More FM 104.7.
Yes, indeed. Of course, we are back. We are back on this very historic Sunday morning. Of course, it was supposed to be as on the last occasion, because Dr. Khaled, you remember, at pushback number 1. On the 29th, there was supposed to be the lifting of the curfew the last day, the SOE, and of course that was preempted maybe a week before, but of course that was planned to coincide with the freedom that people would now get consequential of the obvious lifting, because we were certain that the opposition would not have supported a further extension, but have you done any analysis? Because I want to ask you a question based on your studies and so on, but I want to ask you, have you considered as to why the government had taken maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the due date? It would have been on the 29th when the SOE would have been lifted. And then of course, that first pushback was carded for the 30th, which would have been a Tuesday. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, but on a Tuesday for 5,000 persons to enter the Savannah, I think it was tremendous. But the point I want to make here is that have you considered as to why they would have lifted the curfew and therefore the SOE 2 weeks or a week before it was naturally due to expire? Have you?
Like, to me, it's obvious. I think Tobago had something to do with it.
Tobago had something to do with it. Tobago had something to do with it, I suspect. And of course, I think in addition to that, it had failed.
Yes.
It had failed because there was a surge upwards of deaths and of course infections. So they probably say, listen, let me cut my losses so that it doesn't look as bad as it would have if they had come to the end, take the 2 weeks or the week to bring it to the end, because they would have had difficulty in explaining why they didn't achieve the objective for which that measure that draconian measure, that what I consider the atomic bomb of all measures that was taken. I remember very distinctly when the UNC had imposed a state of emergency in 2011. Dr. Rowley was one who was saying that that was a draconian, that was, of course, using a sledgehammer to kill an answer, so to speak. Those kinds of exaggerated, and it was saying that it was unnecessary, and he resisted, of course, having anything to do with state of emergency. At least that was the impression I got. But in a pandemic, to institute a state of emergency, and to me, it just as this new measure of taking away salaries from public servants, it seems as though it's a copycat kind of thing. They choose which country of the world that imposed that, because I know Nigeria has imposed, and there is resistance, of course, a mandatory vaccination for public servants, for example, and they are getting some tremendous resistance. But Dr. Rowley and they must understand that when they do that in the context of Trinidad and Tobago, they run the risk of sabotaging the entire public administration sector, and it would have been done on their call, simply because they have failed so many times and failed to incorporate other voices, other opinions, other initiatives that they could have taken on board. But more significantly, people would have felt more comfortable to be part and parcel of something that was tried and possibly failed or didn't do too well, because they were part and parcel of the decision. But they took the decision unilaterally. They claim that they are the government, they know everything, and then at the end of it all, at the bottom end of the exercise, they then, of course, are asking now for opinions, and therefore exercising some element of the democracy that ought to have been done at the front end of the exercise. After the fact, yes, indeed. We await, of course, both Mr. Amar. He will come to the studio instead. We understand that there's a communication problem with the line. So those of you who would want to call in, my apology if you are not able to get in, but we have a difficulty in studio with respect to the line. So so that is why Andy had to use what I consider to be creative ways of getting in. And of course, so too Mr. Amar, because he's coming to studio. I'm sure that by now Mikey would have understood the communication difficulty that we have. So I don't know if he too may choose to come in or may use the approach of that of Andy, because they are very closer to the technological techniques that I am not too familiar with, but I'm getting there. And let me put it in that context. That being as it may, don't forget, people, today, a very historic day. All roads lead to the Queen's Park Savannah. We dedicate, of course, today's program to that effort. Pushback number 2, of course, the Awkenimng. And I like to call it, I like to put an adjective to it, a rude awakening, adjectival phrase, so to speak. Not in order, of course, to emphasize how significant it is. And don't forget the Queen's Park Savannah, the entrance at the back of the grandstand. So from the time you glean or you sight the grandstand, it means therefore you keep on your right, because that's the only place you can go, that's the only place you can veer, that's the only direction you will be able to accommodate the Savannah. And then, of course, you enter there and you go wherever you see a space available to park. And of course, if you are pedestrian, well, that's a different story. You can enter from any point. Don't forget, very important, social distancing, very, very important, social distancing. Of course, you wear your mask profusely, diligently, and appropriately. Cover your nose and mouth and chin. Do not do like what I saw Dr. Rowley did some time ago. He was wearing it as a chin strap. in a public place. Right? I suppose probably that's why he contracted the disease as well, even though he's one of the most protected people in the country. So something is wrong. I suppose the Prime Minister of the UK did in fact contract it away. So say what. But that being as it may, of course, so we have in studio one time at the mic, of course, Mr. Amar, who is here, one of the members of the steering committee that have put this thing together. Very historic day today indeed. And I want to tell you once again, get down to the Queen's Park Savannah. There is nothing you have to lose, everything to gain, because it is the protection of our democracy, our way of life. And we do not want a situation where a small group of persons simply take over someday and do what they want with our resources at the expense of not the rest of us, but certainly our children and our children's children. As soon as he's ready, of course, I will, of course, introduce him. Good morning, Mr. Amar. You are one of the organizers of this very historic day today at the Queen's Park Savannah. Give us an update as to your own views and some of the things that you expect as well.
Well, good morning to the public. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago, and a very good Sunday morning. Let me just start by saying, Almighty God, please look after all of the people that will be there today. Please give the guidance to those officers, whoever will be there today, to use common sense. Please let them reflect on issues of what we are doing is no different than going by the beach today. Because if everybody had gone by the beach today, we'd be all on the beach and we'd be within our rights. And the beach is a big place. People didn't understand the strategy. They talked about the issue of one way in, one way out. Well, all right. Today, God, you have granted us the opportunity to go to pushback tour, of which I am happy to be a part of. I think Trinidad and Tobago has to awaken. We are living in a democracy, and paint it as you want to paint it by using laws of the 1900s to say that we have a vaccination law and policy is like hiding behind the skirt tail of a woman. That is not the issue. The issue is that you have to respect that they have propagated in your minds vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. And in truth and in fact, they have been lying. It is emergency use authorized jab. It's a big difference. And the Pfizer boss, and tomorrow we will play this for you, he in his old French way advocated and said, jab 1 and jab 2, it really doesn't have the kind of effect. But when you take the booster, it helps. I didn't say it. Now, if you people, including all of the other talk show hosts in this country, want to continue to propagate without educating themselves, then it is no different than Jim Jones in Guyana or other organized people who have led people to their death. And 3,000 plus deaths is unacceptable, especially when you brush it on by saying 82% of them is not fully vaccinated, but not telling us how many of them were not vaccinated at all that died. The first jab was supposed to be the one that helped you the most, in that if you get that one, you will know. Where's the details to support that? The Prime Minister didn't provide it. All he gave you was an innuendo kind of guidance. They used the percentages. He gave you a Japanese kind of formula. I'll deal with that in more detail tomorrow. But he is short on information, but big on authorization or authority. He wants to use that authoritative position. I'm the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Amar, I am the Prime Minister. Well, here what the Prime Minister of Britain, as Lennox was telling you, he had to apologize to the British British Parliament, because in April of 2020 or 2021, he went to a party in 10 Downing Street.
Yes.
And it took him a long time to admit. Lennox told you this Prime Minister did admit yesterday about the vaccine killing people. And he brushed it off because today they have not produced any of the details as is required under the emergency authorization approval mechanism. We don't know. They keep always making it seem as if though people didn't all over the world. I believe the people in Trinidad and Tobago is different. I kind of believe that because we bathe in a different kind of water. We breathe a different kind of air. And we sleep in a different kind of mattress. So we wouldn't get the kind of things that over 1 million plus people have gotten all over the world. As if though, this is nothing to worry about. This is a big serious thing to worry about. Hey, I am not anti-vax. I am pro-choice. I am pro-choice. You want to take it, take it. But don't now impose upon me what you want, like the chambers have done, South Chamber and the Port of Spain Chamber, going and telling the Prime Minister, make the place safe zones. Safe zones? What is a safe zone? What really is a safe zone? A place that segregates? So what was all the fight with Nelson Mandela to remove that segregation in South Africa? Why are we trying to impose that in Trinidad and Tobago when we went and fought against it in South Africa? You people have to understand this is not about me. This is about you. And today, we will find out how serious you is.
That's
because
right.
we wait to see whether or not the man with the blue shirt to does talk and get all the press coverage, whether or not he'll be there. We'll wait to see whether the union leaders will be there. We'll wait to see if the public service people will be there. We'll wait to see if the nurses that are off duty will be there. We'll wait to see if the doctors who don't agree with this process will be there. We'll wait to see if the politicians will be there. And if they are there, well then okay, then we know we are going to fight for something that everybody wants. And I think Lennox kind of put it in the right perspective. You come 2 years after the fact, after the opposition call upon you, in both the lower house and the upper house to say, this is a serious matter, let us discuss it. And you let one individual sitting inside there, the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, both of them should be ashamed of themselves this morning and carry the responsibility of these 3,000 plus deaths on their back. Carry it on their back. And of course, the President, who's supposed to have a role, that has virtually done nothing except have good makeup and good hairstyle and travel in luxury because she never had to wait to go anywhere. Pull on the side. Let me go where I had to go. And then she speaks in this kind of affluent way. But people, today is an important...
That's right. I just wanted to get from you what you want to tell the average Joe.
People to understand that we are not breaking any law. That's to start with. This is a peaceful walk for freedom. We have to assemble somewhere. So after we assemble, we are going to walk. We're going to do a one lap around the savannah. We don't need to do much. We don't need to be out there for the whole day. We need to send a message to the politicians. We need to send a message to the opposition. We need to send a message to the national security of the country. We are not breaking no law. Do not come and impose upon us your fictitious issues. The law says no more than 10 and social distance and wear a face mask. That is the law. Wear your face mask. Do your social distancing. And make sure you don't amalgamate in more than 10 people.
On the question of our democracy, because this is a crucial element of this entire exercise today, this very historic exercise, because it's defense of our democracy. What are your thoughts on Dr. Rowley's request, literally probably condescending as well as maybe genuflecting, on asking persons to send in proposals for alternative to their policies now? I mean, they have gone from closing the sky, lockdown to an SOE, and of course threatening the livelihood of even public servants, and he was at pains, of course, to identify some of the persons who would have put in, or institutions that would have put in recommendations. And what are your views on that request at this time, having regard to all of the antecedent?
But like everything else, better late than never, okay?
All right.
Because if at this stage of the game he has now awoken, which I believe he has, recognizing clearly that the team
After
that,
3,000 deaths, remember?
yeah, but
Okay.
it's better than 10,000 left.
All right, okay, all right. I just want to get your views.
So the point is that at this stage of the game, we should all go forward, including the opposition, and make the suggestions because, you know, he tried to belittle the union yesterday.
Yes.
By
not
saying,
too
look at
yes.
what they send.
Yes.
But he has provided no information.
And that was so counterproductive.
Correct.
I thought it was
for the
appalling.
information.
Yeah.
You get the information. If you're not happy with it, shut your damn mouth.
Yeah.
Because you're the prime minister and you haven't gotten the information from everybody yet.
Yes.
You think of mine?
Yes,
because
right.
my letter would be delivered.
Yes,
on
I
Monday.
saw you read it
And
out
I
to
read
some
it
of
out
us.
to you, okay?
Yes.
And I've added something since then.
Yes.
And to add insult to injury, in all of the discourse, he has never yet one time mentioned, other than making it seem as if though it was such a bad thing, and he had no supporting evidence for it. He went on to tell people ivermectin is for animals. And now the Oxford University in the United Kingdom has just started their clinical trials for ivermectin.
Because it was approved by WHO, I believe.
And Trinidad and Tobago, we have a
clinical
university,
trials,
and the man he put in charge now to look at the hospitals, which I want to talk to.
Yes.
Don't keep him secret, you know. Let him come to people like us who use the hospital services so we could tell them what our practical experience is.
Yes.
Let him talk to the man from Point Forte that was on the radio the other day.
That's right.
That lost his father that
Yes.
had a stroke.
And
Let
crying.
him talk to the woman who mother-in-law went in for diabetes and came out dead.
Yes.
So I don't want the man who he put in charge to just walk through the hospital, you know. And when you walk through the hospital, make sure you walk through the hospital with a camera.
Yes,
Take
indeed.
a picture of all the nastiness that have inside of there.
That's right.
Look at the disposal side of the
Give a real
of the
report.
hospital. Give a real report. Don't
Yeah.
give me no stupid report, you know. Because
Yeah.
we're not going down the road for that to do, you know. You're the head of the university, faculty of medicine. Don't come and give me no bullshit, you know. We're not taking that. And you the way they're pretending as if though we didn't have a health review before when my name was there. Rahal.
Yes.
There was one big long detail. Why the hell you didn't pull that one up and look at it? It will have all the information inside of there because the same bloody problems we had then, the same bloody problems we have now. So to come with this, all I will say is I'm happy that the man has awoken from his slumber.
All right.
So he's now at the position of saying, as the Prime Minister, but I really have to do something. Hey, kudos for you for that. But no, don't now come and paint it like how we give a kind of information. Well, you know, or I'm interested in all of the information of all my government ministers.
Yeah,
well, we'll wait to see whether you will pull up Al-Wari, because Al-Wari is the same one that Mark called up and say, why you was at that party without a mask? And you didn't get charged the $1,000. And up to today, you apologize to the country. But you have thousands of people that the police charge for a mask without a mask. Poor people. Not people like you that have millions of dollars in your account every single month. You have people who catching the tail to put food on the table. And instead of the police give them a mask and said, this is a mask, make sure you use it. The next time you don't have it on, we will be in trouble with you. You give them a ticket.
And he has these coy and sometimes sarcastic responses. I'm interested in all of the activities of my minister.
Leonard Smith.
Yes,
Oh my God, you and Amar is so right, you and Amar is so might, but we will determine all of that and go into the interview Monday morning on the ground report. On Monday morning on Sense and Sensibility, we go have a talk show program. At this point in time, people looking to be motivated. They understand that the most important thing right now is the social distancing. Groups of 10, as Mr. Amar just mentioned, he did mention that how it will even have a walk around the savannah. Mikey K will be coming in now. Right now, Mikey K is on the radio here, coming in now on the decoder there too, because we all, in this few little space of time that we have here, want to organize and encourage, let people know where the entrance is. The entrance, Trinidad and Tobago, is after Napa. Napa, slow down, move far right. Yes, just come far right and swing into the entrance. People are parking. It already have over 200 and something people, 300 and something people here. People are pulling in. It's nice at 10 o'clock yet. Start time is 10. People are on their way and people want directions. Yes, opposite BP is where the people are separating. They are organizing and they are putting themselves in social distancing. 6 feet apart, groups of 10. People are parking in the savannah. They understand higher up. Right by Napa, they say no to stay. close to the right. It's 3 lanes, stay to the right. Right to reach, as you reach Napa, slow down. And within no time on the right hand side, you'll see the entrance to come to the Queen's Park Savannah. Again, all roads lead to the Savannah. Push back to the Awakening Trinidad and Tobago. If you are not here, you're wrong. If you are not here, it's because you are satisfied with what is going on in your lives, going on in your homes, going on in your country. Dr. Rowley could come because of you on the day, 2 days before for the Hindu community because of the pushback movement organized to give people opportunity to have their bodies burned after people pay all kind of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Right? Now, besides that, he come now and now decide he open the rivers. Right? He come, he organize, he make an extension, and all of that is well said and done however it go. But we must put in consideration that he only transfer the date 1 month, February the 17th. My body, my choice, all the various things. People will know now we're not only here about we body, we choice, and in the support of public servants, but we also understand that the roads are bad, the healthcare system in a mess, everything, all systems in a total mess in Trinidad and Tobago. Right. It are people out here because of the property tax. It are people out here because their food cards stopped because some investigation. It are people out here because of agriculture. It are people out here based on various things. So I hope the wide and far, and everybody that are look on understand when the media chain up their bacchanal before and think that everybody out here is anti-vax and anti-vax. No. We are full vaccinated and we are for the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. What we not for is segregation. What we want is freedom of choice. What they have to understand when it comes to this vaccine thing, our body, our choice. We should understand while you're on your way, make calls, call your family members, let them know. Cook your food. You have time. The Savannah is a big place. Who could sacrifice and stay for an hour, 2 hours, well, so be it. Who could sacrifice and stay 3 hours, 4 hours, so be it. What more important thing that we all will want right now than to send that message to the powers that be? Right? We look forward to, well, I did talk to Michael and he said he will come out here and try to support many other people. The PSA said they will come out and they put it up on their emails for their membership and all those different things. But again, many people is just talk, all talk, no action, that's how it is go. But I wouldn't say that now because it's still early and these people give the account and they said that they put up the thing from since then. So again, who don't know how to reach at the Savannah, who coming across it, coming out over the Lady Young, come down over the Lady Young, as you come on the stretch of the Savannah, you keep right, as you keep right and you reach Napa. You know, in south it have Sapa, down here it have Napa. As you meet Napa, you organize and slow down. You slow down, it's a 3-lane, one way. Keep to the far right of the 3-lane, and as you reach Napa, slow down, and then you will see the entrance for your vehicles to be able to come in, park, and organize yourself. Right? So make sure and do that. Do not go to ground zero down there, what it is, they are putting people in their vehicles and all those different things, that lock off. That entrance is totally blocked off. Right? So to enter the Savannah, you must enter the Savannah from the right. As you meet Napa, stay far right. Remember that. It's not too late. Call your family members. This is our Savannah. Many of us just come, emerge on the Savannah for Carnival Monday and Tuesday to see bikini, to see people drinking alcohol, whining and dining and all this kind of madness. Right? But how much of us will come to the same Savannah had Carnival have been cancelled for so long? How much of us will make it our business to come to the Savannah, make it a Juve, come to the Savannah for a cause for yourselves? What is the cause for yourselves? You all see what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago. It is what it is. And everybody's looking.
Yes, indeed. Is Mike here close by to say something? We just have about 6 more minutes. Is Mike here around?
Mikey. Oh boy.
Yes, Mikey. Good morning, Mikey.
Mikey and the code, I don't know if he's getting through yet, but he going and say something there just now. Say, go look out for him coming in there in a bit. So you go ahead, just use a tongue boy, use a Lavanti boy. You know it's all about push back. We will always discuss what Dr. Rowley say on the next day, but what we were discussing now is just giving the people encouragement and giving them the direction and how they reach in when that time reach. Yeah, man, you go ahead. Mikey K will come in there in a bit.
All right, okay, people. Well, of course, you can't come in because we just have about five minutes. I believe that to Mr. Amar. Mr. Amar, tell the population what should be happening today, where they should be on this very historic Sunday.
Once again, I say to you that we are not in any way breaching any law. We are not breaching any law. We have a right as a citizen to walk around the savannah. We expect that immediately after 10, soon as we get ourselves organized, that in groups of 10, we'll be able to start our peaceful walk for freedom.
Yes. That's it. Well, of course, Dr. Khaled, of course, I think the time was well spent. You remained silent when all the fireworks was happening. But of course, when we have people like Mr. Amar and the Pitbull on the other end, I mean, it is fireworks galore. But of course, let's hear your parting words and what your own impressions are.
Yes, Trinidad and Tobago. Today is a very important, very, very important day. And the reason why I was silent, I allow Mr. Amar and Lennox and they, because I admire and appreciate the work that they have been doing and organizing, which is very good. And today is important. Do your best to come out because we need to let people understand what democracy is all about.
Well, listen, of course, people, we just have about 4 more minutes, and I want to encourage, I want to beseech, I want to implore, I want to tell people that all roads lead to the Queen's Park Savannah. Andy has been at pains to describe where you should enter, and of course, once you enter, well, it's not like Hotel California, you're bound to be able to leave. But of course, what must be overemphasized or cannot be overemphasized, in fact, is that there is, of course, social distancing in place. Must be your mask must be, of course, worn appropriately, cover your nose and mouth, and at the same time sanitizing. So I assume that people will work with extra in order to make certain that you do so in a way that will be in conformity with the regulations for health, having regard to the fact that at the back of our minds, we must always keep in the back of our minds the fact that there is a virus around that is willing, of course, to infect us at the earliest and most opportune opportunity. So therefore, what you need to do, I cannot overemphasize, come to the savannah in your mask. The savannah is huge. Of course, it's a sunlight, of course, the breeze, etc. It is well established that the virus doesn't like that kind of environment. But at the same time, you must not lower your guard. You must protect yourself. You must social distance. You must, of course, wear your mask, and you must sanitize as well. And of course, as Mr. Amaro has said, and the organizing committee, we will assemble, and then of course we will do some kind of walking around the savannah itself. One lap, nothing wrong with that, and the international media will be focusing on that incident, having regard to the fact that generally it is about protecting and saving our democracy, having regard to all that has transpired. I see that somebody wants to come in. Mikey, is that you? Mikey,
I've been trying to make the link. I don't know if you get me clearly. I'm trying to make the link.
I'm hearing you now. Go ahead quickly.
Oh, wonderful. First of all, let me say hats off to the entire team this morning. Everyone who's already gathered here at the Queen's Park Savannah. We ask again that you follow all health protocols, follow the guidelines, And of course, today is a historic day because we are returning to ground zero. It's all about pushback to the awakening. Many of you have heard the stories. Andy has been sending it out. These are real stories. It's no longer about numbers that come out in the afternoon as though it's the lotto numbers, but there's lives that are attached to these numbers, real people, real families, real tragedy that is attached to these numbers, where so much of us are hearing about these stories of mismanagement, medical mismanagement. Again, the Prime Minister with another committee is committee after committee, when in fact we have been saying it from day one. It was the ground report that was telling you what figures are coming out before it even reaches out. We were telling you about the conditions. We were telling you about how it is that all the mismanagement and mistreatment done to your loved ones. Now today you want to stand up with all of that and all the other issues. The fact that they're coming to tax us to death. The fact that they're telling us that the amount of murders so far is nothing to be concerned about. The fact that so many of us are on the breadline. The fact that so many of us don't know what the future holds for our children. The fact that a Prime Minister could come and say that he broke the law and he was so easily caught up. So we're asking today, when you gather, is it that if it is the police come at you, you could tell them, listen, I made a mistake. It is so easy to get caught up, just like the Prime Minister, and simply give you a blind. All of these are things that we are out here for today. The fact that there's lack of transparency, lack of accountability, and the fact that we want a fresh mandate, demand a fresh mandate, and we say call the elections now.
Magnificent.
Mikey was magnificent. I would just say something short. Well, before the TTPS mobile detention center just rolling. So again, we can't get the roads fixed fast. We can't get proper medication. We can't get our healthcare system in a mess quick. But boy, what we can get in Trinidad and Tobago is things being put in place real fast to lock up people. But at this point in time, everybody's doing the right thing. Social distancing, people are coming in, making their own like, separate place, picnic-wise, and all those different things. So again, encourage your family members, your friends, and everybody. Let's have a day of prayer. Let's have a picnic. Let's have all that we can have. But most importantly, let's follow the healthcare protocols. That's just the way. And we will do that.
Let's communicate through prayer. Andy is so correct. Let's communicate through prayer.
All right, listen, we have 30 minutes more. Because we have 30 minutes more. So, of course, you can take your time now and, of course, make your contribution. Andy, finish yours before Mikey takes over again, because I'm sure that he wasn't complete with, of course, his presentation and encouragement of all and sundry. The sea of humanity, the ocean of humanity must descend on the Queen's Park Savannah this morning. Go ahead, Andy. Andy?
I guess he's out and about.
All right, okay, well, you go ahead, Mike.
Again, I just want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues, you, Lennox, of course, Khalid, Andy, everyone. This is definitely going to be a sea of humanity. People who are saying, listen, we are not going to just lay down and die. We are going to stand up. We are going to make it quite clear. And it doesn't have to be the after effects of some Prime Minister holding his head and saying the people have spoken. The people are speaking now. They're begging, they're pleading, they're screaming, and they're letting you know, call the elections now. We have had enough. You can make it quite clear that you broke the law because you easily got caught up. Well, today, many of us are easily going to get caught up along with the health protocols and the guidelines by following those, and we will be walking. So we are caught up in the fact that you have done nothing to save the lives of so many of our citizens. We are caught up in the fact that you have lied to us from day one. We have caught up in the fact that this is all about a special group of people who demands everything and the rest of us must suffer. So today we will easily get caught up, standing our ground and giving you the awakening that you deserve.
But of course, Pitbull has given us the unfortunate story where you are. Can you visually see this mobile detention facility that has rolled in Savannah?
Yes, I can.
Yes, and what's your view? You haven't been, of course, a victim of that, should I say, counterproductive efforts by the police. Instead of encouraging social distancing, they in fact, of course, did the opposite by hurdling people into that bus and into the various police stations that the 32 persons would have been shared and charged as a consequence. Give me your views.
Well, my views are quite simple. I mean, there seems to be someone who is pulling the strings behind the scene. And I like the fact that you made reference to where it is that so many people, where it's easy for them to come out here with this mobile detention center, little detention mobile thing, rather than to deal with the real issues that are facing the country, Lennox. I mean, you're talking about a variant, according to the Prime Minister, it's easily transmissible, but yet still, they themselves are not following any of the guidelines that they're laying out. Everyone has to be stuffed like tuna in this little mobile detention. And what do you think is going to happen next?
And is it then as an excuse a facade, a front really for a more sinister agenda, and that is to say to stymie and to continue to undermine and to render null and void the efforts of all of you as part of the organizing committee and so on, to promote and defend our democracy? Do you think that is the agenda? That is the sinister aspect of it?
It's quite clear. Yes, categorically clear. It is to intimidate. Yes, and you are so correct.
Oh my goodness! And tell the population again what they should be doing at this time, because there must be an ocean of people descending at the Queen's Park Savannah, and of course not infringing on any of the health protocols.
People, follow the guidelines, please. Follow the health protocols. We are there to make sure, and we are here this today to make sure that basically we are letting them know, we're giving them the awakening that we are not noble savages. We will follow the guidelines. We will abide by the health protocols. And we will make it quite clear that enough is enough. And if it is you have a problem with us today, you'll have a problem with us next week. You'll have a problem with us next month. And if someone asks me, when are you going to stop? We are going to stop fighting when there's no need for us to fight. When it is that good governance has been restored, when the constitutional rights of every citizen has been observed, and when in fact we have gotten the freedom to say, listen, we can now exhale, and we have gotten rid of the worst variant in all that has taken place, and that is the PNM and Dr. Rowley.
Wow. Well, I mean, and that speaks volumes, my friend. Is Andy around? Because, of course, I'd love to hear him give a description as to where people...
He's on the other side. Remember, we're on the same system, but he's on the other side dealing with the logistics.
All right. Okay. Could you give them another reminder as to how they should get into the Savannah? If you
there's one opening around this area here opposite the TGI Fridays. Right, you simply get in. There is room, of course, when you're tuning in as though you're going to the grandstand. There's parking available there. There are people who are simply taking an easy sweat, kicking the ball. There's people who are simply relaxing. People are following social distancing. They are abiding by that. When you do come in, as soon as you get the instructions to make your walk, please make your walk. And again, following the guidelines, the social distancing, and abide by the rules. And if we have to make one lap, we'll make one lap. If we have to make two, we'll make two. But most importantly, we are out here in our numbers and we are following the guidelines.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Of course, we will.
It's been a pleasure. See you in a bit.
Yes, indeed. Of course.
Dr. Khalid, thank you so much. If I didn't get a chance to tell you Happy New Year, all the best to you and your family, Dr. Khalid, for 2022 and beyond. Great health and financial prosperity.
Same to you, and I'll see you soon. Same to you.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes, indeed. Of course, people, we are here until 10:30. We got an extra 30 minutes, and we're going to certainly make use of it. Of course, Andy, when you're ready, I'm sure that you are listening. Somebody, if they are close to him, of course, he can come in at any time. We want to hear
well, I'm right here. I'm right here again. The people are coming in. Well,
yes. Give us an update.
Well, I believe that already we don't have about if I will estimate about 500 people. Again, it's not too late. Again, it's all about making a statement, and we must make that various statement. It's not too late. Yes, it's now 10 o'clock, some minutes after 10. Yeah, 12 o'clock, we're still here. The only thing that move us is if we don't obey the health protocols. So we know 6 feet apart, social distancing. We know any placards that is on a stick, we know that is a form of protest. So we know placards, right? Placards around your neck, placards wearing like a chain, placard will most likely in your hand. That is no form of protest, right? When we are addressing you on the mic, later on, we have to address you in prayer. Yes, everything is in order here. Is for the people out there that believe that we had to get permission to come to the savannah and permission this, and some people I wouldn't go there because I don't have no permission. We don't, right? The superintendent Sukalal Kisulal called yesterday. He did mention and came with that kind of talk, and I make sure and let him know one time, and then he did agree. He said, no, you don't have to get permission to come to the savannah. All them coming to do, and he said he and the men are ready and prepared, is if the health protocols are not being listened to, well, then he and his men are ready, say. But so far, it has been adhered to. People are social distancing. People are keeping their spaces.
Yes.
People packing up their vehicles. People actually hanging out by their vehicles too. It's looking nice. Right? I may even go up on a live for those of you that look on to Real Media TT. Right? So you will understand to make your way down. If you're home still, there's somewhere living to reach by the savannah, how long that gonna take? Some people might be 5 minutes if you live in Belmont and all those places. Some people might be 10 minutes. Some people might be an hour. I could reach on a Sunday from San Fernando, or for a matter of fact, I could reach from Penal de Bay, Superior, to the Queen's Park Savannah within an hour time and hour and a half. And everybody who live in far knows that. It have no traffic on the road. It is, and that's a fact. It's a Sunday. Come, let us take a cool drive. Bring out our families. It's a place where you can park your car. You organize your park your car, and you spread your families by your car. We do it so too. But a failure is a no-no. Failure is a no-no. Not sending a message and staying home is a no-no. Are you safe? Yes, you are. If you're safe, yes, you are very, very safe. You don't have to worry about not coming out. Are we following the health protocols? Yes, we are. Yes, we will. Because we do understand that it have a spike and all those different things. Are people not listening? Everyone are listening. And as I said, for those who may not want to come within the hundreds of people that are already here, you can do just like what others are doing. They park the vehicle, the social distance themselves by their vehicles. All of that is possible.
Yes. What Andy is saying is so correct, people. What he's saying is so correct. The people are parked their vehicles. They're leaning up on their vehicles, but they are practicing social distancing. There are people who are outside on the perimeter, on the pavement side, and there are many who have their placards, but they do have it, as Andy would say, as a chain around their neck. One lady has a piece of rope with something around her neck that has a board. So that can be defined as anything. It could simply be a board chain. We don't know. But whatever message is on there, I'm sure people would read it. So perhaps that is the way she's sending her message. And he is so correct, people. What you're seeing here, people are very orderly. They're following instructions. And they're simply maybe awaiting as many more coming up to the savannah. As I see around the perimeter, many people coming in different colored t-shirts. And they are coming, of course, knowing that they're part of the group and just waiting for instructions when we would start that lap, that historical lap of pushback to the Awkenimng today. And it really and truly means a lot. And he is correct. The people are abiding by the health protocols.
Could you tell us what the atmosphere is like in terms of the weather condition? Is it sunny, breezy?
Beautiful weather. Beautiful weather. Beautiful weather to stand your ground and push back and be part of the Awkenimng. I can tell you that much.
I would have loved to see you only here and here. And the fact that you could be describing this thing the way you're describing it, it means you're somewhere here within this massive crowd that are growing. Only it's growing.
It's growing.
So
but it takes as more people come in,
I'll give you all a live for what's going on.
We have to push. We have to push our distance away. So as more people coming, we have to push our distance away because again we are abiding by the health protocols, and people are pushing their way as people come in. So they're letting them know, hey, I see you. I know you're a part of this. We are in full solidarity and support, but let's abide by the health protocols. You're over there, I'm over here, but we are sending our message loud and clear.
Yes, indeed. And of course, no no one can deny that is a huge space. It's about 3 miles circumference the savannah is, and that there's quite a lot of room for persons who want to be with their family in a quiet corner or space. Those who are senior citizens, for example, you can sit wherever, but of course distancing and observing the protocols, even though you may not be able to participate in the walk. I understand that the walk will take place around 10:30, 11 o'clock. People, is that a fair?
In all fairness, there are a lot of people that are coming in. So
a lot of people still have to come. Cuff, are you there? Director Cuff. Director Cuff, we want to give the people the idea on social media, all foreigners, all our brethren and sisters that are in the various parts of the diaspora, that are looking on and supporting the social movement, that from away, wherever they are encouraging their family members not to give up. And if you see, watch me, and people don't start to spread, Cuff, you are there?
Cuff.
Cuff. Give people an idea.
All right, but of course, I want to tell you that I've already have my link with respect to Amnesty International, Me Too movement, and there's a link with BBC, I believe, and one or two of the American networks. So when I get there, I will, of course, do what I have to do through, of course, the corridor transformation. So, Andy?
Yes, I am here. I just want to make sure that Cuff is around and that Cuff giving people a visual. He can leave the studio of 104 and just give people a visual of what's going on so far at the Queen's Park Savannah. You're seeing people lining up with their cars, people lining up in their... As a matter of fact, I'll just walk in more, because people are spreading, people are doing the right thing. People are social distancing, and this thing is growing. So for those of you in your maxis and your taxi making your way, and for those of you that not making your way at this point in time, but going and start to make your way. Again, it have enough room for your vehicles to be parked safe. Watch.
That's right.
It have enough room. Yes.
First wave movement has just arrived. Umar Abdullah has just arrived with his team, and they're on the perimeter. They're outside on the perimeter.
And by way of information, let me just say that if you meet them in motion, meaning walking around, of course, you just fall in line, pack up in the savannah.
That's right.
Fall in line and follow, because it's going to envelope the entire circumference of the savannah anyway, with the large number, if I have from last time.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Andy, could you tell us what is happening there with, of course, the law enforcement as well? Are you in visual contact, or are they in close proximity to you? What is the attitude? Is it one that says that
the police, they just pack up their mobile jail and they're in the street right by in the beginning of the street, let me get the name of the street there one time.
I think that might be Stanmore Avenue.
Yeah. So at least they're obeying. You don't want them to come down here with no guns. No. Leave them automatic rifles in the station or in all vehicles. If they decide to face the ground, well, you see them. They stay in front, they respect them, because they know we are out here for them too.
Yes,
right.
Indeed. Yes.
Right.
A lot of social distance.
Right. So the mobile, the mobile jail is not too far. Is that too far away from you?
Members of the media are here. TV6 is here.
We're
seeing TV6.
Mr. Abdul walking with the national flag coming in, and you're seeing in the background the police vehicle, but people are keeping their social distancing. We know the police officers is with us and for us, because they are all lost a lot of family members and police officers in this pandemic. At this point in time, that is not being managed properly. Right? And them and all understand, which is the police officers, understand our body, our choice. Right? They understand that.
Let me say good morning to Black Love. Black Love is just out there standing up, and he's locked on. and all the good folks that are out here. A lot of social distancing. You have some cyclists who are parking their bicycles right there, and they're staying. They're social distancing as well. And there's a wide open space in the middle, and everyone is not clamored.
Clustered.
They are not amalgamated in the middle, but there are many folks out here. As Andy said, the numbers are growing. Our last estimate, yes, with their flags and everything.
What about the people who is taking a record of this very historical event by way of social media, using their cameras, etc., and
Yes,
maybe
they are here.
families and of course telegraphing this very memorable, clearly what it has turned out to be event. That is pushback number 2, of course, the Awakening. Do you have a lot of persons like that around?
Yes, we have quite a lot of persons like that. We see that Rawl is handing out water. He received water. So Rawl is here as well, along with his team. Everyone that, and Andy's correct, there's flags. Many of the good people that are out here, and members of the media as well. Good morning to each and every one of you. Good morning indeed. The police is monitoring. They're driving around the perimeter as we speak. And their presence, of course, is somewhat off hands at this point. And as Andy said, and I echo those sentiments, that they understand that we are also here for them. With so many officers who have decided not to go ahead and take the jab, saying it is our choice, it is our body. And those who are talking about the adverse reactions to these jabs, what happens to the breadwinner if something happens? Who's going to ensure the future of the children? And so many stories that we've been hearing. Or last story I heard was someone going in for a tumor. There was a malignant in the brain, and the family had to fight and stand up with the diagnosis and say, he's not going under the tent. Don't put him under the tent. They had to call the ambulance, of course, when things got bad at home, and it had nothing to do with COVID, but they wanted to put him under the tent, and they were asking, these are paramedics, these ambulance operators, where's your heart, where's your compassion? Not because you're getting a directive to put everybody and throw them in a corner that you can abide by. These are people, these are human beings, these are citizens. Many of them who have worked and who have toiled and put their shoulders to the wheel for a productive country is now simply being discarded in a room, begging and gasping for last breath. This cannot happen. And then you have a prime minister coming to tell you that there's a committee formed to tell you already that you already know that we are not being treated as the way we should be treated, and honoring the people of this country. It's scary, but that is the reality that is taking place, people.
Yes, indeed. Well, of course, Mr. Amar is on his way up. I'm sure I'll be joining you all in a while because I have to communicate with Amnesty International, and we have several links that we want to make sure that this is an international, hemispheric, a regional, and of course a domestic matter as well. Of course, in studio we have Shadow is already here. He will take over after the corridor transformation. But I want to commend you guys for all of the hard work that you have done prior to, and of course, and today, because the work is not. And there are so many other things that are in the train to, of course, be executed. Tell us again.
Many people are not worried about their vehicles up here. Only Black Love who seems to want to secure his vehicle. But all in all, everything is good, and it's a one love and one family feeling.
Tell the people again as to how they will get to where you all are, and of course remind them of social distancing and all of the protocol that are in place to save all of us. And it's not it is not just that. It's not anti-vaccine, but it is about our democracy and the poor management that has been the case for some time now under this administration.
Well, we would be obliquely opposite the TGI Fridays, obliquely opposite right here at this entrance. You come on down, you come in. Many people, of course, are staying on the outside of the perimeter, following the guidelines, the health protocols. And we are waiting more people. We're getting messages, as Andy's saying, a lot of messages coming in. Those who are making their way down. But we went and we heard some reports of people coming through from St. James, others coming from downtown, walking up. And when they do arrive, when everybody arrives, of course, again, following the guidelines, we will proceed at that point in time with the instructions to simply walk so in an orderly fashion, again following the health protocol and following the guidelines. Again, these are true patriots. These are people who came out of their comfort zone. These are people who are saying enough is enough. We can't even last 3 more days, more or less than 3 or 4 years from now, and who is saying, listen, this is it, and this is what we believe in, and we believe that there must be better governance and handling of our business affairs.
Yes, indeed. Well, of course, Dr. Khalid, you are still here. Of course, last night on the corridor transformation, we did appeal to all on the East-West corridor who would be sadly and deliberately and maybe negatively to a huge degree affected by, negatively, of course, by this policy of taking away the bread and butter of civil servants, having regard to the density of population that is along the east-west corridor. But I did, in fact, appeal to people if they have to start last night in order to walk down to the savannah. And I'm appealing now, of course, to persons in Silats, the Beatam, of course, Chumacac, Success Village, of course, East Port of Spain. It is merely a trek up to the savannah, make your presence felt, and of course, be part and parcel of this very historic event where we are saying, in spite of the circumstance, we must defend our democracy. This has nothing to do with anything else, and the fact is that you cannot have people in government who have abused, who have mismanaged, and then of course have no qualms in, of course, pretending that did not happen, and then of course asking for persons to make interventions when that ought to have been in front, having regard to the fact if they had any modicum of decency and respect for our democracy. Dr. Khalid, your closing remarks. We just have about 4 minutes. Again, we got an extension of 30 minutes, and Mikey, Andy, they're doing a human service, and of course we had Mr. Amar in studio. I don't know what conclusions you can draw with respect, of course, to that level of organization, that level of articulation, that level of understanding what the issues are, and the encouragement of every single person in Trinidad and Tobago. At least I anticipate, as we said last night, at least half of Trinidad and Tobago, an ocean rather than a sea of humanity, must descend on the Queen's Park Savannah. No. Yeah, you
yes,
want
to... Mikey, again, people are coming in Trinidad and Tobago. Don't stay at your homes. Don't stay at your homes at all. We must send a message. People are actually social distancing. Yes, it have the media here. Actually, to get a press conference, you can't get that, but to get them out the rest, which is good, because the media and all understand that
this
people
is about
body, people choice, and
yes.
all the various things that everyone are going through.
Yeah.
Right,
So, gentlemen, I will see you all in a while. As I said, I have Amnesty International standing by. But, of course, we will be out of here in the next 2 minutes. You have any closing remarks, Andy or Mikey? Any one of you?
My closing remark to the people of Trinidad and Tobago is that, again, the savannah is known for carnival, fetting, bikini, alcohol, and all those different things. We haven't got that in the savannah for quite a while. We use the savannah at this point in time as brethren and sisters dwelling in unity under the banner of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, where every creed and race must find an equal place. And that let us use this as a historic stamping ground for the writing, freedom of choice, and all the various issues that we are going through with the healthcare system, failed healthcare system, and other things. Because of the people of the pushback movement, Dr. Rowley, 2 days, 3 days ago, organized with the Hindu community to give them the opportunity to get their bodies while they were spending thousands of dollars with that monopoly. Because of you, the people of the pushback movement, one area, when it's coming to they're packing up their bodies, you people come and talk out. Right? Because of you, we get an extension of the beach. Because of you, the rivers is open. Because of you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago understand how important you are, the role you play. Trinidad and Tobago government and politicians do not respect life or and all of no. They respect seeing people. They understand seeing people means business. They understand that people at the end of the day is fed up. The people are standing up for their rights, and all the people want is that for the authorities to do what the hell they need to do for us. So again, if you're home, it's not too late. Yes, 12 o'clock, we still here. So make sure come out and join this struggle. And they pray and walk and all this different thing. To the police officers, we are doing this for you. Many of your colleagues, it's their body, their choice. Some of you made the decision to do what you need to do. We are not against vaccinated people. We are not against vaccinated people. What we don't want is segregation. What we don't want is dictatorship and all this bacchanal going on. So I know today we all will be all right. The police officers and them are standing with us because they are feeling the same pinch. Because their date gone from the 17th here to next month 17th. So they understand. But all we have to do is make their work early, easy. Let us make their work easy and social distance. Try to keep in good substance. Mikey.
Quickly, if you have something to add, Mikey, because we have to give way to, of course, Shadow.
Can you hear me? All right,
well,
well,
we have to give way to Shadow. Yeah, go ahead.
As Nani said, we are here, we've gathered, and we are, of course, following the health guidelines. All protocols are being observed. We are getting word that more and more people are coming, and they're coming from distance, quite a distance. So we, of course, going to make this historical day meaningful for each and every one. Peter, good morning to you, my friend, and to all of you who've lost loved ones.
Yes.
Our condolences to you and your family.
But thank you very much, gentlemen. Of course, we will be joining you in a while. Of course, it's not too late to people. Any part of the country you are, the Queen's Park Savannah is not too far. It is almost equicentral in terms of being in any direction you're coming from. But those who are closer to the Savannah, Belmont, of course, Beetham, Sealat, Laventil, on the hill, etc. You simply walk and you make your presence felt, and walk with, of course, your media, or your cameras, etc., or your telephone, and take some pictures, because this is historic as we continue, of course, to push back. As a rude awakening, frankly, and of course, it is about defense of our democracy. Dr. Raul, Dr. Khaled, quickly.
Yes, people. All roads lead to Queen's Park Savannah. This is a very historic day. Support this. This is something worth supporting.
So back in the studio, of course, we have already lined up and ready. Like Freddie, of course, is Shadow. No other name. I've grown accustomed to. He laughing in the background. He loves to laugh at me because I make him a duty to, of course, make certain that I call him out and to make certain that I remember, because I remember in the early days how difficult it was to say Shadow. That means, as it may, of course, people, we are out of here. We will be joining, of course, the team up at the Queen's Park Savannah. We want to meet you. No time is more greater than now. You can leave home now, whatever part of the country you are at, because they will be walking around the Savannah. It will take some time, even though it's a huge amount of persons, but certainly social distancing. Don't forget social distancing. And don't forget, of course, you need to wear your mask and, of course, sanitize. Social distancing, sanitize, and wear your mask. Don't forget, and don't give the police or any law enforcement entity, whether they are adventurous or not, to, of course, the excuse to put you in what Andy has called, only he can describe it that way, a mobile jail. That being as maybe I've come to the end, of course, of today's corridor transformation. See you next week, Sunday. Yes, between 8 and 10. I don't think we'll get another opportunity to get a half an hour. And don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the ground report on 104.7. Yes, right here, from 6 to 9, and on Real Media TT. See you. Thank you very much, Koffer, for all of the assistance across the board. And see you next week. Bye-bye. This is Lennox Smith, your host for the Corridor Transformation. Every Sunday morning, 8 to 10. Don't forget, on this particular, we share with you educational opportunities, all of the current